Welcome to Identity Matters with Dr. Kathleen Perry. Join in to explore one of life's big questions. Who am I really? The Identity Matters podcast will show you that you are and always have been innately whole and worthy just as you are. So slow down, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Identity Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Kathleen Perry. Today, I want to talk to you about dreams that get deferred or put on the back burner or for whatever reason don't seem to materialize, and just some exploration about some different things that I've been seeing about why that happens. So today I was interviewed on someone else's podcast, and she asked me about the fact that I had told her that the idea for this podcast occurred to me 4.5 years before I actually started recording it and publishing it and launching what you're listening to now. This is, I don't know, about a dozen episodes in. And we spoke and I kind of, gave her an idea. She said, well, what happened? That it finally became a thing. And I'm not even sure. I can't remember what I said. So she said, well, I was just looking at this orchid on my kitchen counter, and there were all these buds, and several of them bloomed, and they bloomed into these big, pretty orchid things, whatever. I'm not a plant person. But she said there was this tiny bud that just hadn't bloomed yet, and it was going to bloom, but it was obviously not ready. It was going to bloom in its own time. So I kind of resonated with that. I thought, well, maybe the idea for the podcast, just its time hadn't come. But I also know that perfectionism, the voice in my head, I'm not ready, all of that was also stopping it from happening. But I'm glad she shared that analogy, because honestly, I do think it was some of that. It just wasn't ready, and then it was. However, can we tip the scales in our favor? So I've got another story. I think today's going to be a few stories. A couple weeks ago, I heard from a former coach of mine that I've worked with a lot and still on his email list. And he was promoting a mastermind. And I might as well say who it is, the wonderful Michael Neal. And the mastermind that was coming up was called So You Want to Write a Book. And I remember just, deleting the email without even reading the details of it, because I thought, yeah, I tried that before. I was going to write a book, and I never did. So I'm not going to do that again. But then about a week later, an email came in, and I think it was on a Tuesday, maybe just a week or so before I'm recording this. And something in me just wanted to read it. So I read the email, and it was I was just feeling a little bit more of a pull toward it. And I heard, I don't want to say it was a voice in my head, but there was kind of this knowing, I guess. I'm not sure how to describe it. That, oh, so I want to write a book. Yes, but I'm not going to write a book, and I still want to do the mastermind. It just all of a sudden, in one split instance, it became clear to me, I want to work with Michael again. I want to be around some creative people in a mastermind that are writing books, and I'll just write. Maybe I'll write, who knows what I'll write? Just write in my journal. But I wanted to hang out with these people. And so the mastermind started 2 days later. And it was kind of funny. This is how not seriously I was taking it, which turned out to be a good thing. The mastermind started at 10 a.m. my time. So I had it on my calendar, 10 to 11:30. Now, I had nothing else booked as far as like appointments or obligations the rest of the day. I log on to the mastermind, we introduce ourselves. Michael does some beautiful sharing, talking about kind of what's coming, and then takes some questions. And it's 11:25 my time, and he says, well, we've got time for one more question before we break. And I thought, break? I thought we were done at 11:30, so I hustle over to his website, and I look, and there I see, it's 5 hours. It's going to 3 o'clock. Well, fortunately, I was available. So we did some cool things, and there was a breakout session, and I was in a breakout room with 3 other women, and it just so happened, I wasn't trying to go last, but it just so happened that I ended up sharing last after they all talked about these amazing book ideas, and I'm like, yes. Part of me was saying, yes, look at all this creativity, like I can't believe I'm here, this is going to be so cool. And then there was that voice in my head saying, oh, you don't belong here. You're not writing a big girl book. You're out of your league. And of course, I fortunately was able to just see through that as a thought. It's just a thought peering in my head. Not mine, not me, not meaning anything about me. So I just let that go. And the mastermind ended. And then the next day, I thought, well, time to sit down and write. And I won't go into the detail about how it happened but I don't know, maybe I should, because it was seemingly pretty magical. But the outline of the book, 7 chapters, and the back cover, just came through. Now, I will say that I think it was already there. I don't even know. I do. I kind of think it was there. So I'm just so inspired, so excited, so happy to be there, and reminding myself, I don't know about you, but I can take something like that and pretty quickly turn it into a project. Oh yeah, I need to have this much done, these many pages written, sit there and map out a plan. And by the end of the 6-month mastermind, I want to have that completed, first draft done, and all the things. And then, once it's a book, I don't expect it to be a bestseller, but here's how I'm going to promote it. And then all of a sudden I realized that's not how, that energy, that thinking, that future forecasting, me, the I don't want to say the old me, because that still feels a little bit like part of a constructed personality that I want to keep. Someone who does create and complete things and wants them to have impact. However, the personality construct, the identity of the entrepreneur, the striving, driving to be better, and all that baloney. I'm tired of trying to hold that up. I upheld that for a long time, and it's exhausting. And I think it made me physically sick. Fortunately, not dramatically sick. So I reeled myself in and said, no, isn't this cool? There's a book with 7 chapters and a beautiful arc through it, and I could see who my reader would be. You, I hope, one day. And let it go there and play. And really, I have said this so many times in my life, so many times. I know some people don't like this word, but I love this word, surrender. Giving myself to the creative process. Just letting what wants to be born, what wants to emerge, what wants to be said, just let it come through. I felt that in the podcast interview this morning. She sent me some questions a couple of days ago that she was going to ask me. And there was something in me that said, don't read it. Don't even read it. So we log on to the Zoom, and she said, did you get my questions? And I said, yeah. And I said, but I didn't really read them. I kind of want to do this unscripted. I'm present. And, you know, she knew quite a bit. My mom actually died 4 weeks ago. But I was ready. And so she's very kind. We were talking about that. And I said, look, I'm here. I'm ready. And something cool is going to emerge. And there's going to be an alchemy between the two of us. I had already talked to her, you know, just to see if we were going to be a good fit. So I trusted that. And I said, I'm here to just have fun and play. And that is so, so different for me. And I love being used by this creative life force. And that's the surrender piece. To just, of course, my life experiences and I don't have a lot of skill as a writer, which will be obvious in my first book, but there's something there, you know, and yet I can still sort of just let go and be like a vessel. So I was so excited about this, right? The mastermind meeting was on a Thursday, and then the very next day, there's the book. Even went to AI and created a cover, which is okay. I have the title, my working title, but it feels pretty good. So I'm just on this high about the whole thing. And knowing that in the process of writing a book, I know it's not always going to be like that. But because I know who my reader is, and I have the whole through line, the arc of the story, like in the back cover, I realized that quite a few writers do that, to reference that when they feel writer's block, which I don't think is a thing. But anyway, so I'm all excited about this. And the next day, Saturday morning, was the end of the month 2-hour meeting with the Explorers Club. So I thought, I got to share this. I just got to bring this, you know. I felt this calmness and this aliveness at the same time. I could feel my heart open, but kind of this similar to what I used to describe as anxiety in the area of my solar plexus, but it was almost like butterflies, like jittery, like right on the verge of almost a nauseated sensation. And I used to label that anxiety. And then I realized that, wow, those same sensations when I'm excited about something or nervous about hitting record on the podcast this morning, only briefly, but it's a similar sensation. We just label it. Anyway, I am super going all over the place today here in this episode, and I hope you're still tracking with me. So back to the Explorers Club meeting that I want to share with them. This peacefulness, which I think was from not turning this into a project, and the excited sensations and all that. So I kind of opened our meeting with, have any dreams you have been deferred? Like ideas maybe that you've had, and I'm going to speak to you as if you're sitting across from me, like I was on this Saturday morning with the members of the Explorers Club and the ones online. What gifts have you pushed off to someday? Not ready, or just it's not practical. And by gifts, I don't mean like your talents on a resume. I mean something or things that are so essentially you that the world would not be the same without them. The ones that keep whispering to you, The ones that maybe if you did share with somebody, you were told that it was a little bit impractical. Or yourself, which is more likely. This is too soon, premature, it's just not the right time. So think about that. Is there anything, and maybe it's not a whisper. Maybe it's something that's been really kind of been loud, kind of screaming at you. And I wouldn't be surprised, because I wasn't surprised. Well, actually, I guess in the beginning I was, when every single member of the Explorers Club said, yes, there's something. It's already there, and it's just been waiting for the right conditions. So what about you? I wouldn't be surprised if something came to mind. And if it didn't, maybe tomorrow. You've listened to this podcast. I've planted the seed, and perhaps maybe tomorrow. So what is it in you that's waiting for the right conditions? Another way to maybe stimulate this for you is, what have you always known was in you, but you were waiting for it to be ready, or you felt like you needed a plan, or, pretty common, used to be the case for me, I had to know ahead of time how it would turn out. Like, I'm not going to start this. I'm not going to just play with this because, and that's kind of what stopped me with the book before, is I wanted to have the idea, the whole idea of it before I even sat down to write. And I'm going to learn a lot more in this mastermind, that books aren't birthed that way. Sometimes they are, but sometimes writers just write. And actually I took a writing course a couple years ago, and we wrote and we wrote and we wrote for 6 weeks. And then we went back, and the teacher said, okay, look for a theme and grab 6 to 10 of your essays and put them together in a little chap book, it's called. And I was like, oh my gosh, there was a theme. There was a book there. So you don't even really have to have a plan. And you definitely don't have to know how it'll turn out, because the truth is, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Yeah, I've got this outline, but I'll tell you what, the first 500 words that I actually sat down to just write a scene, I had no idea that wanted to be in this book. And maybe it'll make the book and maybe it won't. But you don't have to have a plan. You just have to have an inkling, a stirring, a sense in you that there's something. And, I said earlier that the world would be quietly poorer without you giving them this gift. But don't even think that way, because it might just be meant for you. And that's fine too. My book maybe will be meant for me. I don't think so. I think that it's going to be vulnerable, and it's going to be something that needs to be shared. So another thing I would say is, what if ready is a myth? What if that idea that you have to be ready, and that was a big thing with this podcast too. I'm not ready. I've got these great ideas, but I don't know if I can just turn the mic on and record and anything will come out that makes sense. And sometimes I know it doesn't. It's messy, and here I am doing it. Here it is. It's alive. It's a podcast. I gave birth to it. So the idea that you need to be ready and have it all mapped out and have a plan, it might be the thing that's blocking the arrival. Because look what happened when I showed up in the mastermind just to play. So it also might be that you're approaching it like a task. Just another way of saying what I've said earlier, that if you've turned it into a project, it kind of zaps all the fun out of it. Now, you may have a project, and some of what we're talking about here could apply to that, but I'm talking about something creative that you know is inside of you. And so what if you approached it like a walk in the woods, and instead of a task with a checklist and a deadline and all that kind of stuff and how it's supposed to turn out and why are you doing it? Now, why? Yeah, maybe that falls in another category. Maybe the why, but you don't even have to know why. I promise you, you don't have to know why. So what becomes possible if you were to stop managing the outcome and just show up open, curious, and present? I think I'm going to take the time now to share one very alive dream with one of the members of the Explorers Club. And I absolutely positively know that I have her permission to share this. She is a successful realtor and just a beautiful person that I've known for a while now, been working with for quite a while. And she had earlier, maybe even 2 years ago in the Explorers Club, mentioned that she loved staging, but she didn't really have time for that. And it's something she would like to do someday, right? So it wasn't practical right now. And I get it. Her life really is full with, children and husband's business that she helps out in and her own, and very dedicated to even a more extended family. So there were practical reasons, I think, that this idea, this dream that she has. But anyway, I can't really do it justice. I'm going to do my best. All I can tell you is that I wanted to cry when I heard her say it. My heart just cracked open. And again, I wish maybe I will interview her one day where she can talk about it. But she said that she wants to help people who could not afford to have an interior designer or a stager come into their home. People who couldn't even afford to go buy some new things for their home. But she wanted them to have the experience of making their home, making it a place that they felt like it was them. I don't even remember how she described it, but like I was there. She was talking and I was there watching the big reveal of her going in on a shoestring budget or donations from other people and maybe some contractors as part of the team to do some minor fix-ups and creating mini or maybe big transformations for people. I could just feel her joy in doing it and the receiver just feeling that love and feeling like their home was their home. And wow, it was just so alive in her, my member, and I believe this dream of hers is she's going to nurture it. And I know it's going to happen. I can't wait to donate some stuff. Oh, and here's the other thing, not ironic. When she happened to be, she only lives an hour away. So she was one of the members that come to my home. And when she walked in, I said, hey, I have a box for you. Normally I give things to her that she takes to the church and then they distribute it to people. And I said, this stuff is more decorative. So I don't know if the church is having a garage sale. Because in my mind, I was like, people need food, clothing. And so, there's stuff that could be sold at a garage sale by the church. And then the proceeds could be used to buy clothing or food or household toiletries or whatever. And she was like, oh yeah, no, we're not having a garage sale soon, but somebody will want what you have. And at that time, she didn't know what I was going to cover in the meeting. And I forgot about the box, totally forgot about it. So I'm walking her out to her car and she's like, so where's the box? And I'm like, what box? And she goes, with the stuff in it that you want to donate. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to go in somebody's house. Like 80% of what was in there was some really cool, mirrors and wall hangings and candles and stuff like that, I was ready to let go of. So anyway, back to you. What's possible if you're not managing an outcome? If you take something that doesn't seem practical, or it feels premature, or you don't feel ready, just let yourself be open to, what if that's just all a story? And what if there's a you? Because there is, I know there is, you're made of creativity that wants to emerge now. And it can be in just a small way. Of course, and by the way, 100% of the members had something. And so as a coach, I was like, what is the very next step? And everybody had one. So for you, if you know what that thing is now, what's the very next step for you? And I want you to take it. And if you don't quite know what the thing is, that's okay too. Maybe the next step is to just give yourself some space to allow that inner wisdom, that creative spark within you, some space to emerge. Thanks for joining me today with so much love. So I wanted to let you know about a course that's going to begin on Tuesday evening, May 26th, and it will run for 5 consecutive weeks. It's called Beyond Diagnosis. Well, that's the working title for the program. Set the stage for healing. Let the body and mind do what they're designed to do. So it's going to be a live experience for people who are navigating anxiety, chronic symptoms, including pain, autoimmune conditions, or any other ongoing health issues, or even, stress and overwhelm. It really is going to be good for that too. And we're going to explore a different way of relating to what's happening. I'm pretty excited about it. So we'll be taking a look beyond the condition itself and into what's actually driving your experience, and how the body, thoughts, and emotions are actually working together, and how those patterns can start to shift when you're no longer relating to them in the way that you have been. And it's not about forcing healing, but setting the stage to heal. And I can tell you that for certain, everybody that works on this kind of thing with me, a huge majority see things change. So if you want more information and you think it's something you'd like to join us, the notes are, the information is in the show notes. You can find it on my website, drkathleenperry.com. Thanks. Thank you for listening to Identity Matters. I hope you found this episode insightful. If you're ready to delve further into this journey of self-discovery and uncover your innate wholeness, I invite you to consider one-on-one coaching with me. Together, we can explore the unique challenges and opportunities in your life or your business or both. And through that exploration, help you align with your true self. To learn more about my coaching services, visit drkathleenperry.com/services.